Hello, one-alls, my view of that time of reincarnated slime, and I've got to say, I'm angry. I am seriously angry. I mean, I was watching this episode, I was so excited to rant about how much I love Shuna, how awesome she was this episode, but instead, I have to start this video talking about how much I want Clayman dead. He hit Malim, he needs to die. He needs to die. I mean, yes, he's hit Malim before, but, you know, now he's hit her in front of everyone, in front of Rimuru, so yeah, he really needs to freaking die as painfully as possible. And Rimuru, you are just a slime, do it. You're just a slime. Make sure that he truly suffers before you kill him. Huzzah! But anyway, on to Shuna, the thing I actually want to talk about this episode. She was amazing. She was so utterly amazing this episode. I mean, seriously, the entire series, she's kind of been more or less a background character. She hasn't been in any of the fights like the other ogres. She hasn't really done all that much besides, you know, make food and make clothes for Rimuru and the rest of Tempest. I mean, I don't want to say forgettable, maybe less noticeable than the other ogres, the other kaijin. I mean, Benimaru, Shion, Hakuro, Soe, those are all true warriors, and Shuna is from the same village as them. Shuna went through the same training they went through, so obviously she is a warrior in her own right, and that is very easily forgotten because has she ever actually fought in this series before now? I'm gonna say no. Actually, wait, no, I think she used magic to put some of the goblins to sleep when Benimaru first attacked Rimuru and the Goblin Riders. Yeah, okay, so she did fight way back when, and that was it. But here we really get to see not only is she a strong warrior, but she has great senses. She's the first one who can tell they've walked into a trap. Soe, the freaking ninja, and Hakuro, one of the most skilled and talented and trained warriors in the entire world, don't realize it, but she does. She realizes they're surrounded before Soe can even detect a single enemy. That is her skill level and is so freaking amazing. And then when the time comes to fight the big bad, to fight Alderman, she creates a holy field around her that purifies the entire area so no undead can approach it besides, you know, Alderman and the other, you know, top tier ones. So she can fight him basically one-on-one. And then she activates Holy Bell. She activates Holy Magic. And this leaves Alderman utterly and completely shocked because he has just witnessed a monster using Holy Magic. Holy Magic, which is the property of humanity, and yet somehow she's been able to do it. And he's just flabbergasted. He wants to know how? How is this possible? And then this monster has to explain to a centuries-old cardinal of the major religion of this world how holy magic really works. It's basically magic powered by faith, powered by your raw emotions, or your raw belief in one person, one entity. For Alderman, that was, you know, the goddess Luminous for a very long time. And for Shuna, it is Lord Rimuru. She has utter and complete faith in him. Regardless of anything, she believes that he is capable of producing miracles. And that's not her alone. Back when Rimuru first announced he was going to revive the dead, nobody was really all that shocked. No one in Tempest really, you know, bat an eye to this because they believe in their heart of hearts that Rimuru was always capable of performing miracles. He could do anything if he just put his mind to it. Oh, I love you, Rimuru. I freaking love you. And I love you, Shuna, because you just, you know, utterly blew the mind of this former cardinal of Luminism. It was just so amazing. So amazing. And all her poking and prodding and mocking of him was basically just to have him reach the point where he realized he could use holy magic and unleash his most powerful attack on Shuna so she can take control of it and use his own magicals to purify the land around her. Which is just so amazing. I mean, seriously, the spell he used on her was Disintegration, the strongest of all holy magic, a spell so powerful that Hinata used it to eliminate Rimuru, or at least she thinks she used it to kill Rimuru. Oh, Hinata, you got tricked. So for Shuna to be able to overwhelm the strongest holy magic, cast by someone who is far stronger than she is, just goes to show how utterly skilled she is. She also says in the light novel that she's able to do this because she's actually seen Disintegration before. She saw it through Rimuru's eyes when Hinata cast it on him, so she knew how it worked, sort of, and was able to basically take control of it because of that. Though I think if she hadn't actually, you know, witnessed Disintegration before, there's a very good chance the attack would have killed her. Thankfully it didn't. She managed to take control of it and convert it into a spell that purified all the land around them. Huzzah! And this was actually what Alderman wanted, but he just couldn't do because he was bound to the land. He was bound very strictly to the point where he actually couldn't speak except for when he's attacking people, except for when he's defending the land. Every one of his other movements are basically being controlled by the security system around him that was cast by the Lord of Curses. And because of this, he was unable to actually kill himself, so his big giant attack on Shuna was actually designed to purify all the undead around them and send himself to the afterlife. I mean, yes, he felt a little bad that he was going to kill Shuna, but at the same time, he wasn't actually able to end his own life because because of how strictly he was bound by the Lord of Curses. So his plan was basically, oh, I'm not actually trying to kill myself. No, I'm just using this giant attack to finish off this dangerous enemy. And if, I end up getting killed by it as well, well, I don't have any control over that now, do I? Oh, I love it. I love it. An absolutely perfect loophole inside this curse that binds him. And the light novel actually goes into much more detail about Aldemon's past. He was essentially a prince. Yeah, I was surprised by that as well. He was the prince of a small nation that was under the protection of the church, and so he ended up joining the church, eventually became an archbishop, and then he evolved from human into an enlightened, which is basically a semi-spiritual being, and they evolved from that into a sage, which, is basically as high a level as humans can reach, which is arguably the same level as a freaking demon lord, though I'd say somewhere between a regular demon lord and awakened demon lord. I mean, it's hard to say. Power levels in this series do get a little wonky sometimes. But anyway, eventually, after he awakened into a sage, he was tricked by some higher-ups in the church and sent to investigate an undead dragon and a whole bunch of undead. And even with all his power, even with his best friend Alberto by his side, and even with a whole bunch of knights who had sworn their loyalty to him, they were no match and they were all wiped out. Unfortunately, Aldemon didn't die and managed to revive thanks to the art of reincarnation, but he was immediately poisoned by the miasma and turned into a monster that was taken in by Lord of Curses and bound to the land, essentially be Clayman's defense system. A rather unfortunate end for poor Aldemon, whose name I am definitely pronouncing incorrectly. I apologize for that. But anyway, after being cursed, he found the only real freedom he had in his life was the ability to talk to intruders who attempted to break into Clayman's castle, and that became kind of his hobby, which, really sad. And he kind of just fell into utter and complete despair at this point, as he realized that not only was he trapped as an undead, essentially a puppet for the rest of more or less eternity, but all the soldiers he went with, his best friend Alberto, had all been turned to undead as well, and he wanted so very, very badly to find a way to free him, which is what he was trying to do when he used disintegration on Shuna. Unfortunately, she turned against him. This also set him free, so, it worked out in the end. Oh, and also, the Death Knight that Hakuho ends up fighting this episode is Alberto, Aldemon's best friend back when he was alive, and the person he was closest to back then. So yeah, he is considered an A- monster, but he is incredibly skilled with swords, so much so that Hakuho really struggles to fight against him. Which I absolutely love. Seriously, when was the last time Hakuho was at his full strength and had trouble against an opponent? Oh, I love it. I freaking love it. Anyway, though, after everything's said and done, Aldemon and all of his undead followers are still around this world, and they realize, they need a new god to serve, so they ask, well, Shuna, who is this god you serve? Who is the god who has put so much faith in you that allows you to basically take control of disintegration, the strongest of holy magics? Who is this holy being? And then she thinks of good old Lord Rimuru, the bouncy little slime. She's like, well, Aldemon will probably realize that Rimuru isn't a god when he actually meets him, but given Aldemon's devotion to Rimuru already, I find that very, very unlikely. And now we have a former cardinal and a demon who both worship Rimuru as their divine being, as their gods. So yeah, the first Church of Rimuru is coming along quite nicely. Oh, I love it. I freaking love it. Anyway, though, back to Star's episode, I freaking love Shuna. I know I praised her a whole bunch, but seriously, while she's preparing to, go invade Clayman's castle, invade the home of freaking Demon Lord, she is making the final touches of Rimuru's outfit, making sure he looks his best for the big Demon Lord meeting. Oh, I love it. I freaking love it. Shuna, you are too good for this world. You are too good for this world. And then we have Shion and Rango who are basically just wagging their tails in admiration of how amazing Rimuru looks right now. Oh, I love those two. I freaking love those two. And then the door here is the gate to Walpurgis. And actually, in the light novel, Rimuru was pretty impressed by the gate and realized, now that I've seen this done, I bet I could make my teleportation look just like this. Oh, I love you, Rimuru. He's trying to steal the tricks of a freaking demon lord, and a truly terrifying demon lord at that, as Rimuru realizes that Guy's maid, Misery, is at the same level as Diablo. She's also a demon peer, and she is Guy's maid. So yeah, Guy is an utterly terrifying person that Rimuru really shouldn't turn against. And I'm going to talk with Demon Lords more in a second, but first I have to really mention how much I freaking love this transition. Rimuru walking through the portal, entering the Walpurgis Council, is literally how the opening of this series starts. That is a perfect transition. That is an utterly perfect transition, and I freaking love it. But anyway, Gi, in a light novel, things actually go a bit differently here. As Rimuru praises him, basically realize, Gi isn't all that strong. He's only really at Carrion's level. But then his sixth sense kicks in. He realizes, wait a minute, something is very, very wrong here. And he realizes basically that Gi is trying to trick Rimuru, trying to put off this fake aura, make everyone think, oh, he's only this strong, which, is really, really strong in this world, but, still only at Carrion's level, when the truth is he is way, way stronger than that, basically trying to lure people, basically trying to see if anyone is worthy of realizing how truly powerful he really is. So yeah, a very, very dangerous person. In fact, in Rimuru's mind, he makes a mental note, Gi equals dangerous. And just to really, really emphasize that, Veldora says he never went after Gi because, oh, it's too cold up north. And this is a very, very strange line, and it makes me think that Veldora was purposely avoiding Gi, and maybe more accurately his big sister, who was up there living with Gi in the north. I mean, that would make a lot of sense. The reason why Veldora never went up there was because he knew, okay, if I go up there, my big sis is going to kick my butt, and I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to leave Gi alone. That makes a lot of sense for a battle junkie like Veldora. But anyway, speaking of that battle junkie, Veldora also mentions they used to fight Draggle a whole bunch, and all their fights ended in a draw. This man, this demon lord, is as strong as freaking Veldora. I mean, Veldora is fairly confident of his own strength right now, believing that, if they fought now, he'd win. But still, at some point, this man was as powerful as a freaking storm dragon. A true dragon. So yeah, Rimuru, don't take off this guy either. And just continue on Veldora's battle streak, we also have the vampire demon lord, who was Milis, Limus, something like that, and has now been replaced by Valentine. And apparently, long time ago, the old vampire demon lord had an issue with Veldora because Veldora burned her city to the ground, which, he apologizes for in the anime, not so much the light novel. He just laughs it off, which... Yeah, Rimuru, there's a very, very good chance that the vampire demon lord might want to murder you, simply because, you free the storm dragon Veldora, simply because you're friends with the storm dragon Veldora. And it's definitely interesting Rimuru was able to realize that the true demon lord wasn't Valentine, but the maid in the back. I mean, this is clearly a ruse meant to trick demon lords, and Rimuru was able to see through it, really going to show how powerful his appraisal skills really are. And then we have Dino, who's described by Romulus as being truly, truly lazy, and oh, I just love how these two argue back and forth. Basically calling her a bug as she, brags she finally has attendance, finally has people behind her, finally has allies, so she's not a loner anymore. And Dino's actually a bit jealous about this, but it doesn't last long. I mean, as soon as the conversation's over, he goes to his seat and immediately falls asleep. Though he's also not someone to be underestimated because the Light Novel Rimuru actually tries to praise him, tries to analyze him, and every time he does, Dino opens his eyes a little bit and looks at Rimuru. And Rimuru realizes, okay, this dude is able to see that I'm trying to praise him. He's this strong, he's this powerful. Clearly, I should not mess with him. And then we have Frey, who Rimuru is, let's say, charmed by? Yeah, let's say charmed by, and for good reasons. She's clearly a very, very beautiful woman, but she's a bit too distracting, as Rimuru doesn't actually notice her attendant, and Shion does! Shion notices her attendant when Rimuru doesn't. Which, is just so, so sad. I mean, seriously, Rimuru, were you that distracted by a beautiful woman you didn't notice the guy in the lion mask? I mean, it'd be way, way too obvious for that to be Carrion, but I guess that will make a bit of sense. No one would expect the guy in the lion mask to be the guy who is basically a lion beastman. Oh, that'd be an interesting twist. That'd be a very, very interesting twist. It certainly seems like Raphael was trying to tell Rimuru that, but he, just cut her off immediately. Rimuru, seriously, listen to Raphael. She is as close to a god as you're likely to find in this freaking world. And then we have Leon, who I feel rather conflicted about. I mean, he summoned Shizue into this world, and that was, really, really awful of him, but she probably would have died if he hadn't summoned her. I'm not sure if he's actually aware of that, but maybe? And then when he actually looks at Rimuru, he sees him as Shizue. He sees him as Shizue looked as a child, and there's something wholesome about this. There's something honest. There's something vulnerable about this. Something almost fatherly, I'd say. And I'm really not sure what to make of that. But his line, he said, I allowed Shizue to live as a human being. I didn't force her to become a Majin. I allowed her to keep Ifrit. I didn't take it away from her. I gave her power, gave her strength, and I let her live the life she wanted to live. And that's true. I mean, that's very, very true. I mean, Shizue always believed that Leon threw her away, but he left her with Ifrit, a very, very powerful spirit, so it makes sense that he was basically, setting her free, letting her do whatever she wanted at that point. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to make of it. I mean, Leon definitely still comes off as evil, but, the bar has been raised so much with Clayman that I really, really can't stand to hate him all that much right now. That might change in the future. That's very, very likely that might change in the future, though. But please let me know down below. What do you think of the Demon Lords? Who are your favorites? Who are your least favorites? Who do you think Rimuru's going to end up becoming friends with? Because I mean, this is Rimuru talking about. He has a tendency of making friends out of his enemies. So I could see him, basically starting up a manga club with all the Demon Lords and Veldora's sister, them all coming to Tempest, every week for tea, manga. Oh, that'd be funny. That'd be really, truly funny. I would freaking love to see that. And what do you think of Aldemon, the newest priest in the religion of Rimuru? Oh, I love his devotion. I freaking love his devotion. And just the sound that was made as he was floating away. Yeah, it's definitely worth knowing that he has become much, much weaker now that he's been freed of the defense system, and so has everyone else. Alberto is no longer Death Knight and just a regular old skeleton soldier. I'm not sure what happened to the undead dragon. Curious about that. But anyway, let me know what you think all down below. Be sure to like, subscribe to the next video, and until then, peace!